And because of that, we've got inhumane things that are currently going on in the Congo, which are very similar to what's happening in Palestine. So there's a correlation here of different people being affected around the world, that whether that's with Brazil and Afro-Brazilians and them being treated harshly by Brazilian police, but who trained the Brazilian police? Israeli military. Or with South Africa. And the reason why South Africa is standing up for Palestinians was because Israel were meddling within the apartheid regime to keep apartheid going in South Africa and helped them allegedly build a nuclear weapon. But also with Congolese military forces and who's watching these mining facilities and who's training these militia groups to be able to keep this slave trade going with cobalt is military forces that are from Israel that are training these people to watch and make sure these mining facilities keep continuing to pump out cobalt.
When the current Congolese president Felix Tshisekedi first came to the United States as president, I think it was 2019, 2020, maybe in 2019. He spoke at APAC, right? American Israeli Public Affairs Committee, and that's where he went to speak. So there is a strong tie right now as we speak, because of what's happening in Gaza. The Israeli soldiers that were training Congolese soldiers in their battle against the M23 had to be called back to Israel because they needed them in Israel so that they could fight in Gaza. So at this very moment, they were training Congolese military. So that's on the military front, but on the economic front, there are deep ties. Israeli engagement in Africa has been devastating. You just have to look at the history of apartheid South Africa and how Israel worked with South Africa to help them develop nuclear weapons, worked with South African military. So whether it's in South Africa, different parts of the continent, and equally important, the business people. One of the richest individuals in the Congo is an Israeli by the name of Dan Gertler.
As I consider myself Congolese, most of my time in the last 23 years I spent in the DRC. When we started, nobody understood what we were doing there. Mr. Gertler, Dan, why so much? Why such a long-term investment? Why so much money in the Congo? There are other places in the world where you can invest, maybe less risky. But my heart was telling me, Dan, this is the place.
He took over, let's say, from Maurice Templesman. Some of you may remember Maurice Templesman, the Democratic supporter, the consort of Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis. He worked closely with Mobutu to get access to the diamonds that were then, shifted out of the Congo and sold in New York and Israel and elsewhere. So Dan Gertler, an Israeli, conservative Israeli, Orthodox Jew, who struck up a relationship with Congo's President Joseph Kabila. First, he had access to diamonds, and then he got access to minerals, copper, and then oil. He became a billionaire off the Congo. He worked with a partner by the name of Benny Steinmetz, who incidentally was just charged and I think even convicted for illicit activities in Guinea.
French-Israeli mining magnate Benny Steinmetz was sentenced to 5 years in prison Friday by a Geneva court for corruption. Prosecutors accused him of paying bribes to secure iron ore mining rights in Guinea.
But the two of them established a company where they got control of concessions in the Congo, and they took that company to the London alternative investment market in order to issue a public tender. And the company was valued at billions of dollars just from that one company saying that they have concessions in the Congo, which was at the time was even greater than Congo's annual budget. But he's become a billionaire off of the Congo. He's currently on the U.S. sanctions list because of illicit operations, corrupt operations. He was identified as being part of an effort with a Wall Street firm called Zif. I think they've changed their name now. That was fined by the Justice Department hundreds of millions of dollars for corrupting Congolese officials. Which is really critical, because when you talk about corruption, you usually look at the African leaders, but here it is that you have a hedge fund on Wall Street who basically had a slush fund that they gave to Dan Gertler in order for him to corrupt Congolese officials to get sweetheart deals, mining concessions.
Amid the ongoing conflict with Rwanda, Joseph Kabila sought the support from the United States and tasked Gertler with the mission of seeking President George W. Bush's backing. After extensive discussions with Gertler, the Bush administration agreed to support President Kabila, ultimately facilitating a peace agreement between the warring parties and solidifying Kabila's position as a leader of the DRC. In recognition of his close relationship with the country's leadership, Gertler was appointed as an honorary consul of the Democratic Republic of Congo in Israel and was granted a diplomatic passport, further cementing his influence and connections within the government.
Gertler worked it so well, Mark, that today we have a situation, even though he's on the U.S. sanctions list, because of his relationship with a major mining company called Glencore. Glencore is a mining company in the Congo that was actually formed by Mark Rich. Some of you may remember Mark Rich. He's the one that got a pardon from Bill Clinton going out the door of his presidency. Glencore is in partnership with Dan Gertler. And Gertler currently gets, according to an article by Vanity Fair, $200,000 a day in royalties from Glencore, even though he's on the sanctions. Now, to put that in perspective for people, according to the World Bank, 7 out of 10 Congolese, 70 million of the 100 million Congolese live on less than $2.15 a day, right? So one man, Dan Gertler, Israeli,
I need, again,
$200,000 a day.
I need to slow that down, because again,
70 million people,
and not just to the gross disparity, but also to the conditions that kind of Congolese people are living under. Say that again. Say that again.
According to the World Bank, 70% of Congolese live on less than $2.15 a day. You know, we're talking about a country where the gross domestic product is about $50 billion or so. The per capita income is about $500 a year. It's a country that's really being plundered. And that's you know, for those who have been following us all along, that's the fundamental theme of the Congo. Like, the Congo was designed by Europeans for plunder, for the extraction of minerals. And that design has not fundamentally changed to this very day, where you see the resources going out of the Congo while the Congolese people live in abject poverty. And Congolese scholar Dr. George Nzangola Ntalaja wrote an excellent book called Congo from Leopold to Kabila, where it's a people's history of the Congo. It's like the Howard Zinn corollary of the Congo, right? Where he documents the resistance on the part of the Congolese, the pursuit of Congolese in order to control and determine their own affairs. And that's really the central struggle of the Congolese. For those who are just coming into the Free Congo movement, learning about the Congo, at the heart of the matter, and when you're talking about liberation, when you're talking about finally achieving that sovereignty, it's that struggle on the part of Congolese. And that's what Friends of the Congo does. We support the Congolese in that struggle for control, self-determination of their own affairs, right?
You know what's not impressive about technology? Technology is supposed to enhance human life. If it's not enhancing human life, how is it helping certain groups of people, but making other groups of people around the world, making their lives a living hell?
This Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google. He's about to show us what the future of smartphones looks like. So, I've traveled halfway across the world.
The Democratic Republic of Congo, and 20% of the cobalt there is mined by hand, often by young children.
What we're really interested in is the future of the smartphone. Google's launched a foldable phone. Why? It's a good question. We are trying to push the frontier of what's possible.
We asked these companies whether child-mined cobalt is being used in their products.
I understand the sentiment behind the question. I wonder about the same question all the time.
But our investigation shows just how complicated it is to trace child-mined cobalt. Leaving the mine, sacks were already mixed up without labels.
How we find meaning, I mean, these are deep questions. But I think we will value and cherish those human experiences.
My parents are dead, he told us. Every evening he returns home clutching the $1 or $2 he has earned at the mine.
There's a lot of talk about kind of doing this responsibly. And I think it's totally right to take it slow and not rush to the end point to do that.
There are thousands more children like 11-year-old Ziki. Barely 10 years old, these kids lug heavy sacks of cobalt to be washed in rivers.
But I think done correctly can liberate you to channel whatever you want to do, and you have powerful tools to enable you to do that.
And even those too young to work spend much of their day breathing in toxic fumes.
They accuse companies like Apple, Google, Dell, Microsoft, and Tesla from benefiting from child labor to mine cobalt. That mineral is key to powering batteries used in our cell phones, computers, and our electric cars.
In his new book, Play Nice But Win, founder and CEO Michael Dell tells the story of how he started his billion-dollar company.
Cobalt is used in almost every electronic device powered by batteries, from smartphones to electric cars.
What I've lived by, look, I think competition is a good thing. It's a healthy thing. It's a natural thing. But being civil and being fair is a great way to live your life, and certainly, it takes a long time to build a reputation. I found that relationships matter, and doing things in the right way is how we operate our company.
Am I supposed to be impressed by that? Nah. And you tell me your electric vehicle is gonna fix the planet? Did you see what was happening to e-vehicles all across Canada in places that are in the cold, that your batteries aren't charging when it's freezing outside?
You mentioned Apple and Tesla, and I will go directly to Tesla. I am still surprised today that Tesla has not been held accountable for exploiting the Congo. And I will just share the direct line of how we can hold them accountable. Tesla gets its cobalt directly from a company called Glencore. Glencore is
which exploits young children.
Company used to have a South African as the head, by the way, right? I think his name was Glassenberg. Glassenberg, the South African, was the head of Glencore, while the South African apartheid-born guy, Elon Musk, was also the head of Tesla. Glencore got its mine from an Israeli businessman named Dan Gertler.
The GDP combined of Texas, Georgia, and Louisiana is 2.6 trillion. Africa, 1.3 billion people. The GDP of Africa is 2.7 trillion. So 3 states in North America have got as much GDP as the entire 54 countries in Africa combined. And that's because everybody who's going into Africa doing anything are stealing. They ain't putting anything back in there. I was Googling Congo, 100 million people. The GDP of Congo is 50 billion, right? People in Congo right now are on less than $500 annually each. So I've seen people there starving to death while 10.5 billion of cobalt is being taken out of the country every single year. There's 12 billion being taken out of just copper every single year. Then there's 2 billion of diamonds, gold, wolframite, tungsten. All of these things are being taken out and nothing's being put back. That's why there's 22 million people right now in Congo who are starving. There's 6 million people in Congo right now who are displaced. I'm there, I'm working there, and I'm seeing all this stuff happen. And I'm like, I know if my brothers and sisters in the Americas, I know if my brothers and sisters, black brothers and sisters in Europe were to come over here, they wouldn't be doing that shit. Like, I know that. I know that you wouldn't go over there and rob from people. I know you would go and build with people. And that's the kind of trade relationship that needs to be fostered between us.
this war here is the cost of the human cost of your Teslas, your iPhones, your Samsungs, your TVs, your cameras, your tech industry, your airplanes, all the military equipment. The human cost is right up here is a military outpost where we used to chill. But because there was too many people being murdered up there, being kidnapped up there, and too many people basically coming over and spying and then using it to launch attacks on the Congolese army, this is the M23, this is the Rwandan soldiers, that Rwanda is denying that they have any Rwanda is denying that Batoto Nyamanza. Rwanda is denying that they have any involvement, but they're literally funding it. If you want to be very, very specific, then you need to look at the money that the British has given, the money that the French has given, and the money that the Americans have given. Like the British gave Rwanda, what, 150 million? So that they could take the immigrants from Britain to Rwanda. None have been taken, but they've been using this money to attack and destabilize Congo. And the whole reason why there's even 1 million people now in this area, where there wasn't 1 million people in this area before, is because they have used the equipment that they got to destabilize the area of the road called Rutshuru, create terrorism up there, to move people down here. So 1 million people have now moved down here, and they now are mining up there. So that's what's been going on. So where I am, just down from where the kids are, 40,000 people have just relocated to here because they're fleeing the Vita, the war up there. So here behind me, as you can see, there's a camp appearing that wasn't there before, both sides of the road. So everybody's being moved down here because up there they're killing people. So that's one of the big problems. So we're going to see what we can do down here. There's some Martin.
Country because of the crisis, and that crisis is this international communities they are causing it, and all of you, we are aware of that. They are using Rwanda to attack our eastern part of the country, so that we must not be stable. We must be running here and there to other countries.
And what do you want the South African government to do about that?
All we want to do, the UNHCR agency, they have the rights to protect the refugees. Is this how they protect refugees? And the UN, they're there in DRC. They call it MONUSCO. They've been there for more than 25 years. Still, there was no solution for that problem. Meaning it's the politics that they're using so that they can continue to loot those mineral resources because of the envy. The whole world, they're envying our mineral resources. No country in this world has mineral resources like DRC. No one, if anyone is here to contradict me, say it openly in front of the camera. DRC is the richest country in the whole world in terms of mineral resources.
The situation in the Congo is dire. The situation in Sudan is gross. And then when you read the record of history, how like this is par for the course. You know, this is par for the course for what they do. What is known as the United States of America is a colonial settler project, almost like inherently. The Massachusetts Bay Colony, all of these were corporate concerns that were chartered, funded to conquer the new world.
Yeah, manifest destiny.
Already been there. And they paved over it and built the parking lot and put a mall on top, and everybody just blithely goes their way. Now, that's been working for some time now. And working is a very loosely defined term. Nonetheless, that's a king, but what's the crown to the clouds? You know, as the Hopi chief said famously in one of his exchanges, he said, "We were told that America was the thing that we would see come and go." So this idea of permanence via brute force is just not historically supported. And if you doubt it, well, then you go to any museum of antiquity and see where all of the thugging gets the thugs. Everybody who sells dope is like, nah, see, but what I'm gonna do, it's like, okay, well, you know, the dope game is cursed and so is the dope. So good luck with that. There will be punished, and the reckoning is not only coming, it is here from ends that the oppressor does not yet perceive. I know it's heartbreaking. You should be heartbroken. That means your heart is working. If you're heartbroken and it's distressing, that means that you are sane. You are a functioning individual. If you are uncomfortable and you're maladjusted to a sick society, it means that you are healthy. Through the demise, my heart is still alive. It looks awful outside, but it's still worth a try.
The US dollar, which has kind of united the world in a lot of ways, maybe not to your advantage, but certainly to ours. Is that going away as the reserve currency, the universally accepted currency? How have sanctions, do you think, changed the dollar's place in the world?
You know, to use the dollar as a tool of foreign policy struggle is one of the biggest strategic mistakes made by the US political leadership. The dollar is the cornerstone of the United States power, but they won't stop printing. What does the debt of $33 trillion tell us about? As soon as the political leadership decided to use the US dollar as a tool of political struggle, a blow was dealt to this American power. I would not like to use any strong language, but it is a stupid thing to do and a grave mistake. Look at what is going on in the world. Even the United States allies are now downsizing their dollar reserves. Seeing this, everyone starts looking for ways to protect themselves.
Is why the genocide in Congo, the apartheid in South Africa, and exploitation of Africa as a whole is linked with Israel. Israel's largest export is diamond.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold up. Israel's largest export is diamonds? One thing we should all be in the habit of doing a little more often is using this little supercomputer you have in your hand to double check crazy things when you hear them on the internet. Because we both know that there are no diamond mines in Israel. So I looked it up. And now we both know that, yeah, holy shit. Israel's biggest export are diamonds, even though they don't have any diamonds.
This is the hubris of humanity, trying to socially engineer our planet away from certain things. And there's certain things you just can't avoid. But there's certain people that want to control our planet. And so the way to control us is to control all electrical infrastructure and information and anything digital so they can digitally colonize us with terms like disinformation, misinformation. So today's episode's very revealing. Hey guys, if you want to watch more clips, click here.
And if you want to watch the full podcast, click right here.